Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Commanding Your Life. This is your host, Beverly Fells Jones, and I am an author, speaker, certified seminar leader, and practitioner for the Silva Method, the Prime Directive, and other techniques. On this show, you will hear about how to expand your world of thought. I and my guests explore the world of positive thinking, the law of attraction, and consciousness from many points of view. It is my intention to share with you information that will enlighten and empower you in your life. I am here to encourage you to think in the positive and show that miracles can happen. I truly believe you have been given the power of the word and thought to create the life that you desire. Please be aware that the opinions expressed on this show are mine and my guests. They are not associated with any organization. This show is an open forum for growth. This show is a safe haven for discussions. You are invited to call in at 347 838 8437 when we are on air to discuss your opinion or to ask questions. So that number again is 347 838 8437. If you listen to the recording, email me any requests or any questions. And that address is Beverly, 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 at commandingyourlife.com. Also, feel free to make comments on this site. They are always appreciated. So welcome and thank you for spending time listening to this program. So now let's start our discussion. Really great day. Um, and I'm looking forward to today's discussion. Now, last week I talked about where is God, and I was hoping that I would have a guest with me today, but her schedule and my schedule aren't coinciding. So what I'm going to do is still have the conversation, and when she's available, I'll have her on the show, or we'll do a special episode because she's normally busy at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning and unable to be here. So we'll do a special episode, or I'll just get her together and we'll do a video and have the discussion. So she's agreeable to that. So when God says no, when I've done a number of interviews and I've taught some classes or I'm out and talking, one of the main questions that I get asked is, well, I asked and it didn't show up. Or, what happens with all these things that are going on in the world? Why can't we stop that? Well, I'm going to start off and use a reference that most of us, I'll say, are familiar with. And I'm going to take it from John, the 16th chapter, and the 23rd and 24th verses. All right, I want to pull up something else in a little bit too. In that day, you will no longer ask me anything. I tell you the truth. My Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. Until now, you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask, and you will receive, and your joy will be complete. Now, I'm going to be referencing from my book today because I have a special chapter just on this subject. It's called Ask and It Is Given. One of the things that has always interested me, and I listen to people quite a bit. And I told you last week, I do ask a lot of questions. I have this scientific type mind, right? And I've heard a lot of people say, well, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Um, there's always a caveat behind the discussion. There's always a caveat behind, well, I really want this. I really would like to have this. And then there's that hesitation. There's that fear that comes up. And I really have to explain it as fear that comes up that says, well, I say this, but what if I don't get it? I say this, what if it doesn't happen? I say this because, and I look at that and I know that we are all pretty much concerned with asking for things and they're not showing up. And I just thought of a really great example, and I can paraphrase it, but if I can find the document that has that information in it, I would more than happy to just read about that. But let me tell you about this. There was a lady, and many young ladies, young men out there, old ladies like me, out there have a desire. And that desire could be to have a companion, a mate, a spouse, a loved one in their life. I'm going to take myself as an example. All right? And I'm going to talk about when I was younger. And all my friends around me were getting married. Some of you out there can relate to this. And your mother's saying, when are you going to get married? Blah, blah, blah. And there were lots of reasons. But there were times when you'd go out and you'd look and you'd go, oh, is this the one? Oh, could this person be the right one? Oh, what's going to happen here? And you rush into a decision because you feel time is passing you by. You feel that the person's not showing up. And I didn't go and pray for a person to come into my life. I just kind of thought about it and what I wanted and, made this list, right? And I did the list and I just kept saying to myself, okay, so is this person going to show up? And what happened is I didn't wait, I should say, and my decisions didn't come out quite so well. And so I am where I am today. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter, now that I think about it. But I'm going to give you another example of a woman who met a man. And she was determined that this was the man for her. She just kept praying and doing some of the techniques that I teach, and she kept asking, and he wasn't too keen on getting married at the time. But she did it, and eventually they got married, all because she was determined. And I know many of you know people out there who were determined that this was going to happen. And they got married, and they went into business together, and they did many things. However, the marriage wasn't a good marriage. It was predicated on her desire, her pressure on the gentleman to get married. And in the end, she said, I got what I wanted. I really did get what I wanted, but it really wasn't what I needed. It really wasn't the right person. And so they wound up getting a divorce. And then she started asking what I would call in the right way, the right person for her, and that she was willing to be patient and wait. And lo and behold, the right person came into her life. They got married and they stayed married for many years. I say that and I tell that because many of us are asking for things that may not be exactly right for us. So I'm going back to the Lord, if the Lord's willing and the creek doesn't rise. Many people talk about, well, God wasn't willing at this time. Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you. The first thing that happens if you say, if the Lord's willing, is that there's doubt in your mind that he will fulfill your request, or she will fulfill your request. Remember last week I said God is non-gender. So, well, wait a minute. You have doubt. And we talk about, in other scriptures, it talks about if you ask or decree or command, whichever word you want to use, and have no doubt in your heart, this is going to happen for you. This is going to be. So think about when you're asking for things. Think about when you are desiring. Let's go back to the guy or woman in your life. What are you asking for? What do you desire? I talked to one young lady and I said, well, what do you want? What kind of relationship do you want? What kind of man do you want in your life? What is your most desired piece? And she said to be cared for, to be loved, to be cherished, that he was ambitious, not overly ambitious, but enough that, he was willing to go out and work, someone who would support her in her endeavors, someone that wanted 4 kids, all right? And so I told her, just start writing those things down. What does he look like to you? What does he have a smell? Is there a favorite cologne that you like? Same thing with you guys. Is there a favorite perfume that you like? Is he tall? Is he medium? Does it matter? Is he of the same race or you don't care? Does he like to, well, for me, does he like to camp and go camping? Do you love football or racing or whatever it is? Write down this list. And these are the things that you ardently desire. You go back through the list and you say, well, this isn't really important, but it would be nice. And you put a little nice check mark next to it that indicates that this would be nice. And you put another little mark or highlight it if it's something that is I have to have this, such as a non-smoker, a moderate drinker, an athletic person. If this is important to you, you do that. So this is an example of the number 1 step of being very clear about what you desire. When you look at the scriptures and you look at other documents, and I've talked about Neville Goddard, who is also very adamant about the law of attraction and asking and receiving, and he gave lots of examples of that,
of him doing that and examples of people that he worked with that do it. I've got lots of examples of people who were very clear about what they wanted. They visualized in their mind what the outcome would be. But if you say, if the Lord's willing, or I'm not sure, or I have doubt, then what does that do? It actually holds it from coming to you. Now, talked about again, if you're doubtful, then it's not showing up. And if it shows up in the way of your doubt. I've heard many people talk about something and say, I knew that was going to happen. I told you it was going to be that way. And I go, yeah, because for everything you ask for, you get it. And so if you doubt, or if you say this will never happen, and you do nothing, then it won't happen. If you keep thinking that the person who tells you they love you and you keep saying, no, they don't, I don't believe you. I've watched, I had one client that was driving his wife away with his doubts of thinking that she was meeting someone or seeing someone, and he would constantly ask her. But it wasn't because there was any evidence of her doing anything. It was because he was afraid of losing her. In the end, he made some changes in his life. He made some changes, and their relationship began to become much better and better, because he finally admitted that the fear was within him, that he felt that he wasn't worthy. He felt that she could do better with someone else. But she chose him, not someone else. She chose him. But had things turned out a little differently, then, my goodness, she may have left because of his badgering. And you've heard people say, or at least, in passing, or maybe on TV, or friends, or whomever, who said, well, I'm being accused of it anyway, so I might as well do it. That person was driven to an activity. Do not allow doubt to stop you, because that will stop what you ask for showing up in your life. So what I'm telling you is that it may appear that higher intelligence, God, says no, but in actuality, what is coming into your life is what you are truly inside of you believing will happen. One of my favorite, and I'm going to look it up for sure, all right? One of my favorite scriptures is in Matthew 9. And in Matthew 9, we're looking at some people who had been healed, and I'm looking it up right now. And it's where Jesus heals the blind and the mute. All right. He says, as Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, calling out, have mercy on us, son of David. When he had gone indoors, the blind men came to him, and he asked them, do you believe that I'm able to do this? Question, do you believe, right? Do you believe that I'm able to do this? Yes, Lord, they replied. All right, then he touched their eyes and said, according to your faith, let it be done to you. Right? According to your faith. So did they really believe that he had the capability of healing them? Well, 30 says, and their sight was restored. Jesus warned them sternly, see that no one knows about this. But they went out and spread the news about him all over the region. According to your faith, let it be done to you. So do you believe? in what you ask for? Do you ardently desire what you want? Have you asked for it in the right way? Have you been very detailed? Now, on my website at commandingyourlife.com, if you hover over the blog link, you'll see a thing called the manifestation log. And in there, I write about some things that just showed up in my life. I've chosen things that are possible for you. I don't start with the big stuff, all right? I don't start with asking for a certain amount of money per month as income and have it show up. I start with the small things because as you have small victories, things come into your life and you go, it's directly related to what I said, then it will allow you to build your faith. Hebrew 11:1. Many of you know this, many of you may not. It says faith is the assured expectation of things hoped for, yet unseen. So you're asking for things and you may not see them, right? You may not think that they can show up in your life, and they absolutely do. I talk about in my book about asking for what you want. And I talk about God fully expects us to plan for our future. Because some people think, well, I can't plan for next year. I can't do this because that would make me seem as though, I'm sure I'm going to be here, right? God fully expects us to plan for our future. It is a foolish man who does nothing because he has the expectation of being taken care of in the future or waiting to see what God wills. This reminds me of the story of the man caught in his home as the raging river engulfed it, and he prayed for God's help. 3 offers came to him, and this is one of the things I talk about, is the fact that people say opportunity knocks but once, but for me it's 3 times. If I don't take it the first time, then it's the second time, and then a third time, and that by then it's got my attention, right? So 3 offers came to him. A man in a pickup truck offered him a ride to safety. A man in a rowboat, as the water was coming up, told him to come aboard, and then a rescue helicopter with a protective harness came to lift him to safety because by this time he's on the roof. The waters are coming up. Each time he turned them down, replying, I ask God for help. He will protect me. Well, the raging waters of the river continued to come up, and finally he was swept away. He drowned and he went to heaven. He asked God why he didn't help him, right? And God replied, I sent you 3 opportunities. Why didn't you reach out and take any one of them? Has help come your way, but you were distracted, wanting it to come from a different direction? Therefore, you missed it? So many times we're asking and we're looking and it shows up, but it's not in the form that we expect. Some of you are looking for work or looking for a job and, it's not coming. And you say, well, I'll just take anything. Well, I'm going to ask the question. Do you believe that job that you want is coming? Or are you doubting it? Are you listening to the news, listening to them say, there are no jobs out there. The job creation market is like, there's none there. And the only jobs that are there are low-paying jobs. Now, I'm here in Dallas. And there are people that I have met, and I've talked to them, young people, and they say, as well as older ones, I'm not excluding you, that say, I moved here from St. Louis. I moved here from California. I moved here from New York. I, and I mean, I've heard this many times. I said, "Oh, did your job bring you here?" They said, "No." I mean, no. Said, "No. I came here to visit a friend. I loved it here." And so one girl said it took her a year. She got put her house on the market. She did all this. I said, "Would you get transferred?" She said, "No." I put my house on the market. I made my plan. I started packing my goods and I sold my house and I moved to Dallas without a job. I said, "Oh, that was brave of you, wasn't it?" She said, "No, I knew I would find a job here. I had a job in 2 weeks doing what I absolutely love." I went, I'm glad you told me that. And that's not the only example that I've had it before. So the key is ask for what you want. 2, ardently desire it, know what it is, be detailed. That's really number 1. 2, visualize in your mind that it is already done. What would it look like if you're looking for the job or looking for the guy or woman? What would it look like when that is complete? The job, do you see somebody congratulating you on the job, right? Or do you see someone who is, you're in on the couch holding hands, you're watching a movie, you're going for a walk? What is it that would indicate that that person that you desire with the perfect relationship is in your life? So if that's so, then you go into your prayer mode. Some will do prayer, some will meditate, or that's the term. Anytime you say anything, it is a prayer, because all the words that you say come out and they are heard, and your requests are answered automatically. So create that and then visualize that in the prayer and fully expect it to show up. Some things show up instantaneously depending on how many dominoes have to be put in place for it to come into your life. I say dominoes because things have to happen in a certain order for it to come into your life. Now, this 30 minutes always goes really fast. And so what I'm going to continue, because remember last week I said I'm going to start recording. And so I'm going to continue this discussion on the recording. And I would invite you to come to the recording once I upload it, right? And see and listen to the rest, because I will do a meditation on the rest of this recording for you. So there's a webinar that I'm going to be having on Thursday, and I'm going to put the link in the description. And it's a free link, and it's a free webinar on the first 2 hours. We're going to really be 90 minutes, but the first hours of the Silva class, so that you can learn some techniques. I'm going to teach you 2. 1 is the centering exercise that is a good 25 minutes, so it's going to teach you how to totally relax your body. And the second one is I'm going to teach you a thing called the 3-finger technique. So you take the first these 3 fingers, your thumb and your first 2 fingers, and teach you that. And join me there. So see me in the video.